Hi,
Hi
Minnie.
everyone. I'm Minnie and welcome to Dial M for Films.
यार ये कैसे हो रहा है यार?
Dive,
ये कैसे बैठी है
dive.
यहाँ पे यार?
But ditto Vikrant.
रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है ना, मुझे वापस देखना है रिवाइंड करके. हो रहा है ना?
It took me 5 minutes to come back to my senses. I was like, "Arey, what is ma'am doing here?"
It took you 5 minutes. I'm still recovered. That I'm actually the mini is part of a conversation. I'm still recovering. So, I mean, what a surprise! And
This
Smriti,
is
you are like
Smriti
such a
Kiran's brainchild, and she thought that it would actually be a surprise. I kept asking her. I said, "What if they don't recognize me? What if they like?" But we came to chat with Smriti. Who's this? Why is she here?
we're all fanboys here. Mini.
We are all mutual admiration, I think, all of us. This is a very
Wow.
special episode of the show. And we know that everybody who plugs in to us week after week is a legit cinema feel and a closet filmmaker and a screenwriter. So, we thought it was a good idea to put their screenwriting skills to test. And here we are with the team of Haseen Dilruba, the latest exciting mystery thriller on the block. And today we're going to be in conversation with director Vinil Matthew, story screenplay dialogue writer Kanika Dhillon, and actors Tapsi Pannu and Vikrant Massey, who will meet the first viewers of their film, the 23 lucky newly minted writers who will try to decode the twist. So guys, congratulations and thank you for making it here. I mean, I know you weren't expecting me, but कहानी में twist पर आप लोगों का कोई copyright है क्या? मतलब हम भी दिनेश पंडित पढ़ लेते हैं कभी-कभी. Okay, so don't feel too unprepared for this development, and don't worry, we've also got the doyen, the grandmaster of Dial M for Films, Smriti Kiran, on the chat. So please, can we have the grand reveal? Smriti, are you here? Just so that everyone's comfortable. They're like right now, they're like, have you joined the wrong interview?
First of all, welcome. Thank you for doing this. To everyone who's watching, this is a spoiler-filled session. So if you haven't seen Dilruba, please go and watch it and then come back and plug into this chat. Also, a big shout out to the 23 people who actually wrote what they thought the twist in the film would be. And any screenwriter that I've spoken to has said that before you even crack the story, before you even think of making a blockbuster, the first thing you have to do is put pen to paper. So you've done that. You've already succeeded. Thank you for joining us. Minnie, take over. You are my phone a friend. I just decided कि ये final exams चल रहे हैं. Why not call you and let you do the heavy lifting? So,
well, also because Smriti, I am a big fan of the film. I've actually watched it twice now. I am really, really a big fan of what you guys have made here. Like I've enjoyed it from the first frame to the end, and the actors here are like nothing short of amazing. Kanika, you're going to be, I'm going to ask you the first question. I've been seeing a lot of your films, and I love how you write, your characters. But what was amazing is that you're a graduate in economics from like St. Stephen's, you're a LSE postgrad, and yet you switched lanes, chose to take like lunch orders and printouts at Red Chili's. I read this, it blew my mind. And then you made your move to films, and I'm sure somewhere this defiance and perseverance, so to speak, found its way to Rani Kashyap's character in this film. Is this why you feel really compelled to write the kind of women characters that you actually do? Who are rebellious, who defy boxes?
How beautifully put, Minnie. Actually, nobody's made that reference before. Yes, I, as a person, I am a non-conformist, and I do like to do things my way. I do like to have the agency of choice, be it in making my life decisions, or be it, creating heroines who have that agency of choice. So yes, a big part of who I am and what my belief system is, not to say that I endorse extramarital affairs, unlike how Tapsi has been going around telling people that Manmarzia was my biography. And so I have to give that disclaimer out. No, I'm not talking about that, but at the core of it, being a non-conformist and heavily protecting the agency of choice as a woman is something that I carry with me, and automatically it translates into my characters.
I remember reading somewhere that you said that you find writing socially acceptable form of schizophrenia that are found like absolutely so bang on when you really go and revisit the characters that you write, actually, isn't it?
I love the questions you're throwing at me, Mini.
Oh, okay. I have a career then. I should join the list of the 23 people who've written alternate endings to the film. Okay, Vinil, you've always sort of cast brilliantly, okay, for your ads. And even here, I, particularly enjoyed your choice. And I'll come to the principal characters in a bit, but what I really enjoyed was your choice of, supporting characters like Aditya Srivastav and Yamini Das, who's an absolute favorite, and there Shankar Pandey. So what I really want to know is from you, because this is an aspect of your filmmaking I really enjoy. Is the world you create around your principal characters as important as your storytelling for you?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to choose your actors wisely because, the film works in totality. So you can't have a primary cast existing as another unit and your other characters, as a different kind of unit. So definitely one spends a lot of time thinking about cast and secondary cast. And I usually try to find people who would do justice to the character written. But also one wants to get some element of freshness. You don't want to see the same people you've seen over, who would be like the obvious choices. And if you're casting somebody who's known as an obvious choice, then treat them differently or, present them in a manner which is fresh. So those are the two things I kind of think, and that pretty much influences my casting choice. So yeah, the same for this film as well. But I still can't get over Mini interviewing me. So I'm sorry, I'm tongue-tied and I'm like, scrambling for thoughts. That's a full googly, but yeah.
It's not a googly, but I have so many questions to ask you that I can now legit ask you, right? Which you can't avoid. So tell me, how is it working, putting two actors together like, Vikrant and Taapsee, okay, both like huge pillars of, the craft in their own right. One who is, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vikrant, but somebody who has, maybe a background in theater, so he's very studied, and Taapsee, who we all know is a spontaneous, firecracker of a performer who will give a best take in your own words, because I've been stalking your interviews, in a very first take. So how do these two people get directed together? How do you manage this?
So I think firecracker is the right word for Taapsee for sure. And,
We don't want examples.
We do want examples. Please give them to us.
Especially as you know, many in our industry, the actors cast us, not the other way around. I think we have
There goes the famous Vinil understatement.
Yes. And now, Vinil, I want you to come up with the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
How I was casted. I was casted. I want truth from Kanika and Vinil both. If you guys don't tell me, you wait and see how I'm going to present it. So this is probably the last interview. This is the last interview I'm doing for this film. You both now better be true to this question. Come on.
Smith, यहाँ पर Smriti थोड़ा breaking news वाला moment I think होने वाला है. So Vinil, come on, now you got to give it to the girl because I've seen tons of your promotion interviews before the film release talking about this. How she was not the first choice.
Interview के बाद तापसी के ही घर जाना है.
Yeah, you both. A little background information about Vinil and me. Vinil has rejected me for an ad. He rejected my audition for an ad. Okay, now let's know how I was casted for this film.
Vinil, I started off, and please take over, whenever I raise.
कितना खौफ है यार, अरे.
I'm shivering. Okay, so I shared.
So guys, just tell you that this is a regular day on set, so please don't get fazed by it. We're all used to it. We all Teflon coated, so this is a normal day for us.
So basically, I shared the story idea of Haseen with Taapsee. In fact, around Man Marziyan, when we were finishing Man Marziyan, and Taapsee immediately told me that it sounds very exciting, etc. And I said, of course, babes, I'm coming to you when I'm done with this, etc., etc. And then the film got written, and there's a big gap from Man Marziyan. I did a couple of other films in between, and I went back to the story of Haseen, and then I brought it out and I wrote it out. And Taapsee was busy doing so many other things. I'm raising my hand. Vinil, take it from here.
Okay, so but we also do know that as a fact that Vinil, you first met Taapsee after she was cast, right? At Anand Rai's office. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Beach ka masala to sunne mein nahi aaya.
That's why I was hoping that Kanika would tell you all the masala, but she's.
They are just like throwing at each other, and nobody's like
shoving
maybe a little bit more. And then I called Taapsee and I said, babe, why have you been avoiding my calls? Please pick up.
Oh my God!
The narrative has its own twist on it.
Yeah, this is.
Let me run behind her and ask Vinil how much. Like, Taapsee's not giving me any time. So what do we do? So then
Kanika,
finally.
you wait. I'm gonna like what all I'm gonna add in your dinner today. You wait.
Finally, I narrated the script to Taapsee and she graciously agreed to do it. And then me and Vinil went out and had a drink and celebrated.
Amazing.
Wow,
amazing.
How nice.
This
How
is
nice.
such a dry clean version of the real truth.
Vinil, you tell us the story because then Taapsee will tell the story. So
we can do a split screen. Chalo, so
both Smriti and Mini, of course, you would know how things are in the industry. Each story has its own journey. We even I wasn't the first choice, but I really think it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters as long as I was. Eventually, I got to do the film. I think that's what matters. And I think, there's a sense of destiny for each of us. I think except for Kanika, all of us were rejected mutants who kind of
leftovers
who luckily managed to get together to make this film. I think once we were ready to present the script to actors, of course, I wouldn't say the script was, we had a different kind of a character in our mind. We had a different kind of personality in mind. And hence we kind of start seeking out actors. It's a hypothetical thing. So correct me if I'm wrong, Kanika, but Taapsee had just come off Man Marziya, which is also a love triangle written by Kanika. And there was also an extramarital affair there.
Right.
And one was aware that one had to kind of be as differentiated from the previous film. It's coming back to back. So I think one of the reasons was that we weren't sure, and probably the lacuna was on our end, that we were not sure how different will this film be. It couldn't be a sequel to Man Marziya, So which is why probably Taapsee was not the immediate choice, because it would just be like a repeat or a repetitive casting in that sense. So we did seek out, and unlike what Taapsee often says that, we exhausted all options, it wasn't the case. We met an actor and a female actor, and we were not able to close the film because we were also not able to cast a male actor opposite that actor. It was kind of stuck. Then I think very wisely Kanika, and I would give credit to Anand sir and Kanika, in fact, because they knew Taapsee much better, and they said, let's not pull this through any longer. And if Taapsee comes on board, we can just start the film with her. She's like big enough for us to kind of get the project on the floor and get moving. And I think Kanika went and met Taapsee and narrated the script. I wasn't part of that. And then there was a 5-minute introduction session, which I requested them, please let me go and at least meet Taapsee and figure out where do we stand. And then Taapsee came, and she was dressed very she was like a little dainty girl and very different from one. It was like just like the film, you don't know what was coming at you. And 2 minutes into a pleasant conversation, I was told very candid admission by Taapsee that, look, I don't give more than 2 takes, and I don't do rehearsals.
It's 3.
Oh, too good.
3 takes.
I thought it's 3 takes.
3 takes, sorry.
It's 3. Every interview reduces it. I don't know why.
It's just that fear. No, I always get confused. 3 हो गए कि 2 हो गए कि 1 किया मैंने. So
1 minute. So you started the film on like frenemy vibes.
I will take out the fray bit of frenemy.
Okay.
I'm like, this is karma. This is karma. You reject me. Now you have to put up with me for an entire film.
I just love it. Okay. But I'm happy that this leftover ka khichdi made such a great feast for everybody. And, this, what they call Basoda Festival really worked for us. But, I'm going to make a shift to Vikrant. Okay. Vikrant, I really enjoyed watching you in the film. Okay. And
thank you, ma'am.
I've noticed that you've never really hesitated to, sort of pick roles that are maybe even relatively smaller and with very strong women characters, even when you're being chased, as a lead in the industry. So I want to know what makes the cut, because you make such interesting choices in all the roles that you pick up. What really makes the cut for you when you say yes?
There are multiple reasons for sure. To begin with, I am not in a position to choose, or maybe I can say up until a couple of years ago. Whatever came my way, I just wanted to capitalize on that, make the most of the opportunity provided.
Right.
And maybe like post Death in the Gunj, when I did, get more offers, when there were more films coming in, I was, at the same time blessed with a lot of people coming to me with good scripts, maybe because of their faith in me for whatever they'd seen before. So it's actually an amalgamation of so many things. For example, Alankrita is someone who's a dear friend, who makes really strong films, who has a very strong voice. She's been doing that for years. And it's a moment of honor for me to be a part of that, because I will also concede one thing which I very recently probably realized about my own self. And it's a conscious decision also to collaborate with them, because I'm also, unfortunately, I have been, like most of us, a product of patriarchy. I am also, I was, say, maybe up until I was in college, I was not very much aware about women's issues. I was not sensitive towards it, maybe. And so for me, my life has come a whole circle, getting an opportunity to, sort of cleanse my sins, if I can say. To probably, sensitize my own self while working with them, understanding things far more, things far more closely. And I wanted to contribute in whatever way I could. And when I started traveling because of work post college, especially, I started, self-educating my own self with regards to a lot of things. And here I was presented with an opportunity to work with such great minds, learn a lot of things which I was not exposed to earlier. And at the same time, do something that I love the most, or probably is the only thing I can do, which is act. And yeah, that's about it. And I just want to contribute. And at the same time, focusing on my own self, play parts that are relevant, play parts that, resonate with people, and do justice to whatever is offered to me. And, that is how it is. The ultimate truth is one film leads to another. I have to be, at my A game for other people to notice my work. And that's all of these things just fell at the right place at the right time. And here I am. And I hope I continue to do so.
I'm sure you will, because, Alankrita, who of course you've worked with, like you said, in Lipstick and Dolly Kitty, also said somewhere that your character, you are so sensitive to the role that, that your character plays in the larger narrative. And that makes for a really, sort of selfless actor. In
her films, I end up, again, I end up playing a lot of, like, if not entirely, somewhere down, treading between the gray and, the gray and the black. So, I just want to represent society. I believe, it's a symbiotic relationship. Any form of art is, reflective of the world we live in. So, yeah, that's how it is. So I want to contribute in whatever way I can, in this larger narrative, the larger idea, which is so important.
And we are the richer for it. So it's great. Works for everyone.
Just for a second, because we were talking about Vikrant and the kind of roles he's done. Actually, for me personally, when I watched the film so it hinges on your character working, because Rishu has the sharpest arc in the film. You almost oscillate between the intimidated and, near evil. How did you bring humanity to Rishu's blind spots?
I'll be very honest with you. A lot of it was laid bare for us. The structure that we were provided, within the script was more or less, as good to go. So there was not a lot for me individually. Obviously, on floor, when you're working, you're improvising, you're working with someone like Taapsee and Vinil, who actually have great photographic memory. So they definitely aid a lot of things that you do, and, you put in your bits. But most of it was actually laid bare for all of us. The structure was more or less set. And Vinil complemented that world really well. But how would I say that, how did I make it human? It was already that. The world was set up that way. You see, there are so many subtle things that are out there. For example, when the inspector is saying, "Aisi औरतें बहुत चालाक होती हैं." So ये सारी चीजें साथ में चल रही हैं. So all of this makes very real, because unfortunately, as I said earlier, we are only reflecting what we've experienced or what we've seen around. And for Rishu to be human, I think it was laid bare for me. The entire arc was so beautifully structured. And Kanika is someone who as she said earlier, she brings her own experiences to the paper and then complements it to the screen. I think it's a bit of everything coming together. It's a lot of how I have responded to Taapsee also on floor.
So, coming to, you said you react off Taapsee when she's performing. And Taapsee, a little bit of a rewind for you. You've never hesitated to, call a spade, say it like this. You fiercely called out everything from polarization to misogyny, nepotism, everything on social media. And like, I'm a big admirer of that. How do you judge and weigh the characters that you play and their potential impact on everyone who watches the film?
I think the impact happens when I strike that chord with the audience and get the relativity or the association right in terms of the fact that when someone watches a film, feels like this feels like me. This feels like I could have been this. So that relatability is what has helped me establish get the impact that my characters actually have on my audience. That has been my biggest weapon from the time I discovered that this is what I can do with my performance, which was in the beginning of my career here in Hindi cinema, when I moved to Hindi from South, that I realized that if I just stop being the aspirational person and try to be real character who has the shades of gray, sometimes lighter, darker, because all of us have that. Nobody is black or white. So I think that helped me normalize real characters, female characters on screen to a great extent. And that became the reason for the impact.
Because I've also heard you say that in your personal life, you're a fairly conventional person. And yet, when it comes to the characters you pick fearless, uninhibited, and slightly avant-garde characters, some of which, of course, Kanika writes for you. Does this delight you, or it kind of makes you question your own ideas about how you have evolved,
So I am pretty black and white in my real life, much more than the kind of character. I think my characters on screen are much more fun and exciting than my real life. So I think it just helps me live that alternate life when I do that. Yeah, I think it also puts me in that uncomfortable zone in terms of in front of the screen. And that is what brings out something that I don't know exists in me. I like to play out of comfort zone because then like Rani was out of my comfort zone. Like them, nobody else would have imagined me as a first name in mind for Rani Kashyap. So that way it's because it's not the regular Taapsee casting. And that is what brought out something new and different from me. And probably that worked for the character also, because in your head, if you expect a femme fatale who's also a little sensuous character, uses her sexuality and all, you expect a certain type of a looker. Maybe because someone not so conventional made for that character did that character, it started looking different from a regular prototype of that character. So I think that really helps me bring out that newness and realness in these kind of not so conventional characters on screen.
Right, but let's just juxtapose two characters that you've played in the recent past and reevaluate what I asked you. That so, for example, your Amrita in Thappad reacted to domestic violence completely different from how Rani did in Haseen Dilruba. How did you sort of fix that in how you played the characters and how you felt was the right portrayal of it?
So Amrita was a very, very white character in comparison to Rani. So when she is so white and she's there in the most, like, you can barely pick flaws in her, right? And when that happens to her, it looks like one is oppressed and the other is oppressor. So that's the feeling that you get when you see one not flawed character who is in life of a flawed character. You feel that, this character deserved better, didn't deserve this, right? On the other hand, when you have Rani and Rishu, two really flawed characters, if you start seeing from only one lens which is directed towards Rishu, it is going to be unfair because you need to see from Rani's perspective also towards Rani also, because she is also not the most white character, not the person who just did the most righteous of things. And to top it all, it's not like Rishu says that, okay, we should be together. He says in a very clear line, "Main tumhe maar dunga if you stay with me." And she
tries his darndest best also, yeah?
Yeah. And she knowingly says, "I still want to be with you." isn't that choice that she makes out of no pressure. Nobody forced her to be there. And she knew that there's a certain flaw in her, and probably that it is her decision to, just probably overcome that flaw, to just forgive herself for doing that by making sure she still makes this relationship work and turn the opinion of the guy after whatever she had done. Nobody pressurized her, nobody forced her, nobody was oppressing her. She chose it. And because she was also wrong somewhere, she knew. And this was her way of repentance. It was her choice. So there's a very different, you can't judge the same act with the same lens when there are two very different characters jinke saath that's happening, or who are choosing for that to happen to them.
So then let me pose this question then to Kanika and to Vinil. भाई पंडित जी ने कहा था कि वो प्यारी क्या जिसमें खून के चींटे ना हो थोड़े-थोड़े, but it is a slippery slope to navigate, isn't it? I mean, we've kind of fought very hard to steer our narratives away from perpetuating, male toxicity, if it were. So my question is, did you at any point worry about slipping into the very old patterns that writers like you, Kanika, and directors like you have tried to break?
Well, male toxicity in this, like Taapsee rightly put it, while I was scripting this, I was aware of the fact that, this could be misconstrued in a manner that, is this romanticizing the abuse, or is it romanticizing the oppressor? But I was not able to convince myself that it was, because for the simple reason that in no way emotionally, physically, financially, in any way have I made the woman disabled in any way. When two people are on an equal footing, or when a person is more powerful than the other, oppression can happen, right? You can term it as an oppression. You can term it as one is a victim and one is the oppressor. But in this case, the person that we are thinking could be termed as oppressed, and Vikrant being the guy who's kind of inflicting some kind of abuse to the woman, I have deliberately constructed the woman to be more powerful, to have a very strong agency of choice, and it is deliberate. It in no way can you, do you feel that Rani at any point was it was beyond her means to get out of it. And at no point do you feel that she was manipulated into it. At no point do you feel that she was forced into it. So I don't think that, I was convinced myself, because I am aware of the entire patriarchy and the entire, I'm also very sensitive to it. But I did make a very conscious choice to make sure that the balance of power is kept in a way that we do not fall into the trap of the woman being the oppressor and the man being the woman being the oppressed and the man actually inflicting violence on her, and me then going on to romanticize it. So that is how I've tried to take care of that aspect of it. And yes, because the story is about a love that faces extraordinary situations, right? We do, this is not just about choosing another partner or getting confused between two people. It is about, how far are you going to go in love, with the feeling of redemption or even sacrifice. Right. There comes a point where my character, Vikrant's character, has to choose between self-preservation and sacrifice in the climax, and he chooses to sacrifice to be together with his lover. So, and also I would like to mention here that there's an overall arc to this character. It's not that I've just left it at that, oh, he's such a romantic guy because he beats up his wife and suddenly he becomes so appealing because he's got this raw sexuality which is almost violent. No, I haven't done that. There has been, the point that she falls in love with this guy is not when he turns violent. The point she falls in love with this guy is when she sees that he's standing there and taking...
With the suitcases.
Yes, with the suitcases, and he's taking all the emotional trauma and still protecting her. So that is one of the most, that is the moment she realizes that this man is really much more than what she thought he was. And that's where the turnaround starts happening. And she just then goes on to make a choice that, yes, I want to, I made a mistake, and it was her choice to stay on and see if she could make things right. And now coming to Rishu's character, from the inception of this character, this is the guy who says कि मैं पंखा ठीक करने के लायक हूँ, या अगर किसी, I'm not the hero in anybody's life. I'm a wallflower. Nobody looks at me. Nobody cares about me, and everybody thinks it's okay to fuck me over. How will this character, when he wants to, express that he's angry, when he wants to express that, he matters, when he wants to express that he's not okay with this, couple it with male ego, couple it with, somebody literally
humiliating him.
Yeah.
So he is going to act out of character entirely. He is going to create mistakes, and he does rectify them in the end. So I have not left the character in a romantic situation of him being violent and her loving. I've taken the arc to where he apologizes, where things become okay, and I have made my heroine say that this is not you. You are not the guy who is, you're a good guy, and this is you just behaving in a way because you're angry and it's not cool. And he has understood it, and he has apologized, and then we've found a resolution, and he's gone so far to kind of sacrifice himself in the love story, etc. I don't want to get into the spoilers of it. So I think I have dodged the bullet as a writer, and I think my director has done a fantastic. I mean, it was a very difficult film to direct because, it's one thing to write it on paper. And of course, I was not going to go give the scripts out to the audiences who are going to it has to live and breathe and feel real. And Vinil came in and did an absolute magic with that. And of course, thank God that Vikrant, whenever I see the film, I just say, thank God Vikrant was playing Rishu.
Yeah, because it's just so much easier to understand somebody, like Vikrant,
Every time I watch this film and the last shot, and I'm like, thank God Vikrant. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Of course, we know that, she's outstanding. So that's why I keep gravitating towards her. And even though she may say that I do not,
she makes sure that I just make the mistakes with aplomb. Like Kanika makes sure she writes my characters she's very confidently and honestly, she's just going all over the place making mistakes.
In real life, I'm very fascinated by Taapsee because I love her guts in real life, and I love people who are out there. And I gravitate towards people like that. So Taapsee is a very there's some sort of a natural magnetism towards.
She's the muse to your feminism, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know how does this happen that she looks at me, she knows me so well, and then she's like, "Ab isko." How do I turn upside down the character of her character in front of the camera and just show a total different side of the female, which doesn't exist in her, but let me just spoil it all over. How do I do this? So all her films, the films in which the girl actually is just doing wrong all over the place are the two scripts which I've done. Her other film characters are much whiter, nicer, nice, confident girls, very powerful characters, but a very good, nice girl. Only I get to do the bad ones. I'm the chosen one.
Bad ones, good girls seldom make history, my girl.
Exactly.
Oh.
They finished last.
Oh, nice.
We're not being the bad girls. We are trying to change that narrative only.
Yeah.
So we can play with it. While we are changing it, we can definitely play around with it.
Before I open the house out for questions, because we've got those 23 people waiting to ask you guys questions, I wanted to ask you that, second acts are supposed to be much harder than the first ones. How did your experience of directing Hasi To Fasi, sort of inform your turn as far as Haseen Dilruba goes?
I don't think there was any conscious choice of doing something differently vis-a-vis my first film. Unfortunately, there was a very long gap, which is 7 years between both the films. But most people think that, I directed Hasi To Fasi and then went on to some sort of ashram and disappeared and came back for the second film. I'm also a practicing advertising filmmaker. So I'm pretty much on the set. So a journalist asked me then, did you forget your skills? Were you able to, get back to the I said, look, this is something I do for a living, and I'm on a set and I'm dealing with actors, and yes, the basic, systems are pretty much the same. So I don't think any, and Haseen Dilruba, for me, not that I have a body of work in long format, but when Haseen Dilruba came, I actually didn't see it with any other perspective than except give, this script 100%. I mean, it was a new journey for me. It didn't have a baggage of the past. It was something which I started afresh, and my attempt and my effort was to be true to this story, and how do I now, bring it to life. I remember when I did my first film, even though I'd come after years of shooting advertising films, I was a newbie, and I would welcome suggestions and opinions of others, others who had spent longer time in features, and I would take their opinions, and I would kind of seek opinion very, voluntarily. What do you think? Because I just felt that, look, I need to secure myself with better counsel, when there were situations. And I realized not all of them worked out at the end of it, and then I had to defend something which I actually was never in the first place convinced about. So I was very sure that on this time round, whether good or bad, right or wrong, I would just go with my intuition of what I felt. So even if tomorrow things don't work out, if I have to defend something, I'd rather defend my own mistakes rather than somebody else's, suggestion, which I've kind of taken and I can't now stand for.
I feel that in this film, you literally walk the tightrope between directing, a film which has comedy and romance and thriller and mystery, and it's seamlessly, so beautifully done. So now that you've tasted, sort of long form feature length blood, what is your dream genre? What would you like to see in your repertoire from here on? What would be the Vinyl Matthew brand of cinema from here on?
So the word blood strikes a chord. Because
yes, it does.
To be honest, and I've mentioned this to Smriti in the past, that humor is, undervalued a lot while you're making films, and especially when you make films which necessarily don't have a message, or an issue, and you simply try to do humor of various sorts, whether it's slapstick, whether it's dialogue-based, physical comedy, whatever. I think it's completely undervalued because there's a lot of effort and skill which goes in creating humor. So I just feel that whenever you work on humor, the effort you put in, you don't get returns for your effort, because it's kind of how either comedy nikal jata hai. But it is coming together of a lot of things and landing well. It has to be the actor's sense of timing. It's how you conceive of a scene, your reaction, your edit, everything. There's a skill involved, and I really enjoy doing humor, but I feel that it's like a black hole for me. I keep putting effort into doing humor, and I never get that satisfaction. Look, you've done something. And honestly, for me, the thriller is actually a very simple thing to do. There is no trial and error because it's written for you. It's easier for me. It's easier to pull off mystery, thriller, and those kind of things because it's far more straight. There's no uncertainty while you're on the set, because when you have a scene which is funny and you land on the set, till the edit is done, you're not sure whether it's going to land correctly. What if the whole joke falls flat or the humor does not come through? Then the entire effort is wasted, and so there is always this tweaking, this trying out. Should we try this? Can this be more funnier? That element is there when you're doing humor, but contrary to that, when you're doing thriller or mystery and suspense, I just feel it's more of writing and editing rather than executing it on the set, which I feel is fairly straightforward. There are only 2-3 ways of doing it, and you kind of do that. So in fact, while we were shooting, I think we spent a far more disproportionate time in doing the humorous parts because those were really cumbersome. But the thriller parts, we kind of knocked off in 10-12 days. I mean, it was just more straight, easy thing. So, but again, to your second part of the question, Mini, I'm just grateful if I get an opportunity to make a film and I don't have to wait for 7 years. I mean, I'm genre agnostic. Anything which comes my way, I'm happy to do it. Yeah. So, Smriti, just one point I had mentioned in a previous interview, Taapsee has a very unique skill of holding a rose and making it look like a knife. And I can see many of them.
Can we have another, demonstration of it?
Things like this.
She waves it. I never seen a rose more threatening when it's in her Taapsee's hand. No?
That's how I was handling
rather
those.
Intimidating now that you tell me this. But Vinyl, obviously, I mean, given that you're one of the funniest men in this city, I will be like first day, first show to any comedy that you make because it's like I really enjoyed the humorous portions. I love them, in fact.
The 5 of you are people who came into the industry with no connections from a background of education. And you have gone from strength to strength with every year that you have spent in the industry. Are you mindful of creating opportunities for people now that you're in a position of power?
I mean, the people in the industry, please answer this question.
Hello. I said
See, they're all outsiders. I just also want to notice that everyone is economics, engineer, bloody LSE. It's like, what are we doing in films for health?
If that trickles into your experiences in your early years when you were, and success has now not come overnight to any of you, right? So there's been a fair amount of effort, a fair amount of struggle, a fair amount of figuring out how to do this. So are you mindful of creating those kind of opportunities that probably weren't available to you?
I was horrified when I experienced, as a writer, as a struggling writer, I was horrified because I realized that writing is considered to be the most superficial job on the set. From the ADs to everybody, I think even the spot boy thinks they can write better than the writer, and there is absolutely no skill involved. I believe that the overall vibe that you should get, while, you know, I've also spent like a decade in the industry, and I've come a long way from getting these looks from people like, I can write a better Instagram post than what you've written, and there's absolutely no technical skill involved in writing. You are just here because maybe you look pretty. You know, I'm telling you, there was no. I have come from that to a lot, and I genuinely feel there is no structure for a writer. There is very. I'm sorry, I'm harping on the same thing, but I have really faced this thing that all writers face. Not only me, everybody who comes here. Firstly, you're made to feel that you are not contributing anything to the projects. Hence, you're very dispensable. And also, I feel there's a sort of an illegitimate relationship with the writers that directors used to have, and even the producers continue to have. Directors have kind of made it more legit, but the producers continue to have an illegitimate relationship with the writers simply because they want to use everything that you're doing. But when it comes to credit, they don't want to give you enough respect. They don't want to give you enough money. It's almost like having a wife, the director, who is very respected and who has a set, a standard of income that he should get, and etc., etc. And a writer is like the keep that you can use, and then as per your convenience, you can either drop their name or not pay them, or and we don't have enough muscle to kind of make those contracts in our favor. So I'm sorry I'm using such strong language, but it's almost like 10 years of frustration and struggle.
But Kanika, can I ask you, do you think that's changing? Because I mean, in the last 3-4 years or 5 years, I think the one thing that has come out is that we lack good writing.
Come the second part of it. So my struggle primarily on my single agenda, since I happened to find a voice here. I do believe that there are people who are much more talented than me, but I'm lucky enough to have a platform and to find a voice here. My single agenda is to kind of raise this issue that writers need to be respected more, they need to be paid more, they need to be represented more, and I'm not going to stop talking about it till people stop listening to me. So, or things change. And I'm very glad that this time the platform totally supported me as a writer. And not just me, it was a culmination of all the voices that had been, that were telling the platform before me. A lot of writers had, questioned that why the platforms are not crediting the writers, etc., etc. And finally, we saw a very positive change in Haseen Dilruba. I was credited on the trailer. I was credited on the poster. I think it's a victory for all the writers. And I do believe that when there are these little wins that happen, and when I go around talking about it endlessly, I believe that I'm at least creating a reference point for the newcomers who are coming in, and they can say that, look, she got it. And because she got it, I'm going to ask for it.
I completely get where you're coming from, because whenever we talk about mental health and we talk about humanity and we talk about all of these things, what we don't talk about is that one of the things that causes people anxiety and causes so much heartburn and so much of insecurity in the industry is very simple logistical things that are not in place, things that credit, why? Somebody's worked on it, just give them credit.
You work so hard and you've come into this industry and you don't care if you're being paid, but at least give us the credit that we are working our asses off for.
Actually, isn't this also the first time that Netflix has actually put the director and the writer's name onto the trailer of the film?
And it's a global policy change. Like Kanika said, that there has been a lot of effort that has gone into it. And I also want to, that's why I'm really, really excited by this room that's come together, because I know that Vinil, Taapsee, Vikrant, all three of them, it also depends on the team that you're working with, because not only the platform, but collaborators and everybody got together to kind of, join this protest and say that, this needs to be done. So I think it's an example of how you need to fight certain battles that seem like they're not yours, but they actually are.
Smriti, I would just like to add that, if it was not for my director or Taapsee or Vikrant, I would have not come this far. That is also very clear, because in the scheme of things, we do know that this entire game is skewed towards the stars. They are the ones who can make most of the difference. And in this case, my actors did support me till the end. And you pick up any of the interviews, there is not even a single interview where they've not, spoken about the writer or the craft of it. So I would definitely say that this change also is going to happen because of the ones who have the most influence in the industry are taking this up as a struggle that they need to be a part of.
No, and I hope this continues to happen. So well done, guys. That's a thing to celebrate. But Taapsee, should we go with you next?
So if you're asking for, like Kanika rightly said, set a precedence, I have so many times when I go on my set, I have girls who are, from no movie background, the outsiders who play a supporting cast, or the girls who I work with otherwise doing promotions and all, other actors basically. So one beautiful thing, they come to me in one corner and say, I've heard this a couple of times, sometimes in person, sometimes over message, that you give us hope. And that is one of the most heartening compliments that an actor can get, because from where I started, I was not good as an actor. I always owned up to that fact. I learned my craft over a period of time. And I did not start with a big superstar film. It was not like you're launched in the biggest way. Don't belong to a family who can fund films to help me get in. No remote connections also to films whatsoever. I've had a very slow, steady rise, still climbing up. It's not a one movie fluke that people really want me about after Pink, that you're destroyed now, because every time you're going to come on screen, people are just going to keep comparing you to Pink, and then they'll tell you that you haven't lived up to this and that, because that became such a cult film at that time. So there were all these things that went against me. But then today actually is exactly 11 years since my first film released. 1st July 2010, my first ever film released in Telugu. Wow. And it's been 11 years now. So I never thought I'll come that far. So if I definitely have decided that I will do whatever in my capacity to help the actors who come from no background, who don't have the obvious connections here. I haven't even worked with the big, the big studios, so to say, who sign you up as a talent. All my films that I have gotten are because directors have repeated me in their films, because they probably had a good experience of working with me. So I really would want to use this position of power now to help others, which I am going to. I mean, I'm sure it will be very much visible for people to see this in the future. But yeah, this is a decision I took, I think, a year or so back, and I am working on it already.
More power, yeah, Taapsee.
More power.
Thank you.
Vikrant has worked with so many female filmmakers. And they say the nicest things about him.
Vikrant is annoyingly vanilla. He's annoyingly vanilla.
I have stalked research to find shit on him, but it's all good, yeah.
No, you spend some time with him, like after 75% of the shooting got over. Then I started to know about the other side, which is far more exciting. I was like, what the hell? I don't want to know this vanilla. I have his name as Vikrant
Vanilla Massey
in my phone book. He's just too vanilla, yeah.
There are vanilla lovers also all over the place.
So sweet. So sweet. In my case, I'll be very honest, I don't think I'm still in a position of power. But yeah, there are far more opportunities coming my way. There definitely is a sense of recognition. For all pragmatic reasons, I would need to consolidate my own self first for the next 4 or 5 years so that I can, provide a platform to people, for people actually, in whatever capacity I can. And, but whatever I have been doing so far, I think I've somewhere down the line, started walking down that path. where I can sort of accommodate, help or assist someone in any way I can. You know, it could be by, I have a small independent production company called Homemade Films. So by funding documentaries, by funding, you know, whatever I can, you know, accommodating or providing a platform to people who really don't have, you know, the right resources or, you know, the right door to knock on. So I still am fairly, very, you know, it's at a very nascent stage right now. I think my acting career, I'm just 7 years old in films, and I need to consolidate myself first so that I can help anyone, you know, in a better way. But it's at it. I would rather say there are a few litmus tests going around here and there, but I think I would be full-fledgedly into it hopefully soon, sometime soon.
Also, I hope that people keep on making you dance a little bit.
और जब भी कराते हैं तो गंदा डांस कराते हैं, अच्छा वाला कराते ही नहीं है.
वैसे वो जो फिल्म आई थी
Ginny Wed Sunny,
उसमें एक नंबर बहुत अच्छा था. तो we really enjoyed ourselves. I personally feel you and Sanya Malhotra need to do a video together, because that's another amazing dancer who's not been utilized in any of the films by any of our directors to dance.
Yeah, in fact, we were talking about this the other day. Yeah.
Very early on in my career, I've spent a lot of time and effort for casting and looking for new talent. You know, and that's something which everybody in advertising world knows, that how much pain I go through to discover new faces or new people. Because I came at an era where there were only good-looking models who used to, you know, do advertising, and then one has fought for that, where this change now, where, you know, there's so much more new fresh talent which keeps coming out, and I've always pushed for that. I always believed in a sense of meritocracy in terms of for technicians and, you know, people who I work with, you know. So obviously the attempt is always to get the best possible meritorious person to kind of work with, and I think that in itself is enough. You know, one doesn't need to go beyond that, you know, because as long as you kind of find new talent or really talented bunch of people who have the drive and the you know, the stomach for kind of, you know, doing something interesting, I kind of am happy collaborating with them. In fact, on Haseen Dilruba, I worked with a crew which I've never worked with my you know, my entire, I mean, they were the first time I worked with them on this film. None of the people I worked with except for maybe the costume department have I worked with, you know, before, and it was a really interesting experience for me, kind of adapting to a fresh bunch of people. But that's something which I try and keep doing, because that keeps me on my toes, helps me reinvent my you know, set of skills, and yeah, so that's there. But having said that, yeah, I don't think that I'm in a position like my co-participants where I can talk about, you know, creating success or opportunities for others.
दिनेश, वो कैमियो भी तो था एक जिसमें,
हाँ,
उसमें तो मुझे रिजेक्ट कर दिया.
मतलब हिचकॉक खुद स्वयं आ गए फिल्म में फोन के ऊपर, या तो वो है या सुभाष घाई है.
दिनेश ने वहां पे भी ये कहा कि this is a guy from Mumbai and this is Jwalapur, and she chose Jwalapur.
There's a very funny story behind Vinyl using that photo. So
let me tell a story, Smriti, please. So for that particular photograph, you needed somebody, you know, who Taapsee would reject in the film and go for. I mean, that guy had to be really so bad and disgusting that she'd rather go to Jwalapur than, you know, go with this guy, because, you know, there was a line which she edited out. The original line was, the Masi tells Taapsee ki इसका ट्रांसफर हो सकता है बॉम्बे, बट इसका प्लास्टिक सर्जरी से भी कुछ नहीं होने वाला. So that was the original line, and that was the original guy. Okay, and it so happened that you know, Shweta, who edited the film, she found one guy, and, you know, everybody was laughing on that whenever that used to come in the trial screenings and stuff. And then obviously you could not use that guy, but the poor guy did not even know that his photograph was being used. So we asked somebody else who was you know, well known, and we put his photo. And then we were good to go with that. And at the last minute, there was a problem with legal issues and stuff, and we could not put his photo as well. So then, as usual, production came and gave me some obvious, you know, photographs, and it wasn't going anywhere. So I called up Kanika, and he said, "I said, Kanika, मैं क्या करूँ? ये तो कोई बैठ ही नहीं रहा. मतलब all these guys, how can, you know, they're not even funny." So Kanika, इसमें क्या है? कोई टकले को ढूंढ ले, थोड़ा मोटा सा, टकला सा, गंदा सा देख ले. I said, अभी इससे बड़ा हिंट क्या मिलेगा मेरे को?
This is too funny.
So I was
that's classical Kanika.
He's a hard taskmaster. There were times when I was asking, I would come to the office and say, Vinil aa gaya hai? And I would be like, oh my God. He is such a hard taskmaster. And he is the only director who has made me, like I said this yesterday also in an interview, that he's the only director who's made me go back to the traumatic memories of me doing Nagin dance in front of, guests who come at home. Because my mother used to say, abhi karke dikhao. And Vinil is the only director who's made it, abhi likh ke dikhao. Abhi, ye line abhi likhogi tum. I'm like, oh my God. And Vinil, do you realize nobody's ever literally whipped me like this into working. And so he's quite a hard taskmaster, just letting you know.
Smriti, do we have 2 minutes? I just want to build on this.
Yes, build on it.
Okay. So Smriti, this entire 4 of us is basically, we were not making a film. It was a whole exercise in role play. Basically, हम लोग teacher खेल रहे थे. तो हमारे जो स्कूल की जो हेडमिस्ट्रेस है वो है तापसी पन्नू. डांट पड़ती. She would first come and first thing she'll do is scold all of us. मतलब जो भी हाईलाइन में आ गया गलती से, is going to get jabbed. So it's like one of those early morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, your teacher comes, on a winter morning, ki class mein aa gaye, Taapsi is bad, and all of us would get scolded. So that is teacher, and we are and I was the student who's sitting right in front of her, who's in her island, who has to get scolded. So that was my role with Taapsi. Then Vikrant is that class monitor, who's always impeccably dressed and, is always there and he's always saying the perfect things. Ki koi problem hi nahi hai. He's a class monitor of our class who will also step out of the school and start smoking. So he's also getting the girls, but he's also coming in and being the class monitor. So he was playing that complex.
It's a not so vanilla class monitor.
Yeah, thanks.
And with Kanika and me, I was like the parent at home ki jo do bache mere homework kar lo. So I'm like a working mom, who's anyway got 10 things, and so Kanika has been dragged and said, Kanika, please, ye scene likh de, ye scene likh de, ye kar de, wo kar de. So I literally had to use the same skill set which I deal with my 8-year-old son now, and that had to be applied to Kanika. So we were just playing teacher, student, parent in this whole thing, and film ban gaye side mein bas.
Sounds like a lot of fun, guys, but well done for a lovely film. I'm going to now ask the 23 people who've been waiting really patiently to kind of speak to you to put on their cameras, please.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Manas. Hi.
So before we actually, start asking them to ask their questions, tell me which were your favorite, entries that came in vis-a-vis the twist in the film. They've all watched the film, by the way. They're the first viewers of your film. So they know now eventually what happens. But of course, there were theories that they'd thrown out before that. Vinil, should we start with you?
Smriti, we were talking at some point about giving new talent a break. I mean, I've read all the 23 entries and there you have it. A whole panel. Pakdo inme se.
I think I forgot the number and the names, but I think there are 2 other entries I really like because
I think
dangerously close to the actual plot of the film. And I said, shit, man, they really guessed it. And I got worried. So
I did the same.
Vinil, I think you picked Rishu Raj. Imagine Rishu Raj writing about Rishu and Neil Joshi.
Neil Joshi. I have also chosen Neil Joshi.
Amazing.
But look at the 2 names, Rishu and Neil. They're from your film.
Destiny. Yeah.
Easy. Did you guys change your name after watching the film?
No.
वो कह रहे नहीं.
अगली बार ना तू अपना नंबर दे दे जब कनिका भाग जाती है ना तो I'll call you.
Sure.
So it's Sachin Kumar. My God, he's a PhD student. So yeah, Sachin, you were very close, yeah. So Rishu gets attracted to Rani first time, proposes marriage. Rani is a fan of pulp writer and thrives for an adventurous life. The self-centered Rani is tired of her boring husband. Her appetite for sex and adventure is found in her dynamic neighbor. So I was like, chalo, kahi to kahi galat hue. Neil. Rani's affair with Neil, her not being the ideal wife, makes Rishu suspicious of her intentions. Rishu confronts Rani but gets beaten up by Neil. As his dream falls apart, Rishu's obsession with Rani and his inability to get her makes him desperate to kill himself. But he fails in the attempt. Rani feels guilty. Little does she know that the fictional writer Pandit Ji is none other than her husband. This, I also like the answer was, this was something that a lot of people really wanted to see Pandit Ji coming in flesh and blood there. And someone will turn out to be Pandit Ji. So that I think was just so expected by a lot of people that when it didn't happen, So it was like I don't know, bummer or a surprise of certain sort. But we shall oblige this in part 2 when we present Kanika Dhillon as Dinesh Pandit in the spin-off of Haseen Dilruba. So yeah, congratulations, you are my winner.
Sachin, well done. Kanika, what about you?
I think for me it is Rachit Raj. He's a film critic. And I just love the bizarreness of the plot. I have laughed and then I have again read it and then I'm like, oh my God, I've laughed again. So I really enjoyed this because of the wackiness and it was quite wicked. So Rani is revealed to have had an illegitimate child, leading into a terrible onset of postpartum depression. Okay. You know, this plot had me there at postpartum depression. I paused. It is in that period that she allegedly commits the crime, only to realize her boyfriend uses her blackouts and panic attacks as a way to frame her for what was a crime of passion committed by him after a confrontation with her husband. I think that there are so many twists and turns in these 4 lines itself that the entire film Haseen Dilruba didn't have. From postpartum depression to blackouts to manipulation in these blackouts. So I think it's quite whacked out, and I personally love the wackier the better for me. So just for the sheer imagination of it and the sheer improbability of it, I would like to give Rachit Raj my choice as a winner.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
That's it. Well done. Yeah. Listen, now we have to open the house up for questions.
First one question is by Ankit Garg and it's for Kanika.
So I can always make out the suspense of the film in around the midpoint of the film. So as a writer, at what scene did you think that I should maintain the suspense and thereafter it's okay if people know about it?
You know, it's a good question because we are all, as writers, we're always very insecure that, you know, yahan par to nahi pata chal jayega, yahan par to nahi pata chal jayega. So what I did know, because also we are living in a world where social media, the moment you've seen the film, who's going to stop you from actually revealing the twist everywhere? You know, you've seen the film tomorrow and it's up on social media. So there has to be, so I stopped fretting on that question long time back because I did realize that I can't fight social media or we can't kind of monitor what people are writing. So what was more important was that if you watch the film, while you have an inkling of what has happened, would you still enjoy it? Would you still want to know how he did it? Would you still want to follow the journey of Rishu and Rani? And that's what I was focusing on. And in this day and age, I feel when you write a thriller, you have to very well be aware of a possibility that when a viewer is going to come and watch the film, they already know what the end is because thanks to social media. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. I just want to break format a little bit and veer to Abhinav Mishra. He has a question for Taapsee.
First of all, I would like to say that ज्वालापुर का ये कौन सा टेलर था, मुझे उसका एड्रेस चाहिए. तापसी की साड़ियाँ बहुत खूबसूरत थी. My question is, whenever an actor prepares for a specific role, which is for instance a killer or corporate shark, an actor goes through a rigorous process of creating that specific character in itself. However, most of the characters played by Taapsee ma'am are strong women characters which hold some sort of mundanity, yet you don't clearly understand the thought process of that particular character, whether it's Adukulam or Thappad or my favorite Man Marziyan. So how do you show that regularity or mundanity of a girl next door in a distinguished manner, and how do you prepare yourself for that?
One thing that's constant in most of my characters, that either they already have a voice of their own or they will eventually find a voice of their own. And that is one thing I wouldn't want to change. If that calls for being mundane or being, repetitive in any way, I don't mind that. So my Amrita of Thappad will always be different from a Ruby of Man Marziyan. My Aarti Mohammed of say Mulk will always be different from Rani Kashyap. And my Meena Arora of Pink will be very different from a Prakashi Tomar of Sand Ki Aankh. What I do is usually with all these characters, I find that one common link between me and that character. And then over that, I build up a fictional character. If I don't find a single connect, it is impossible for me to build up a character on top of it. My Amrita of Thappad will cry very differently from a Rumi of Man Marziyan and from a Rani Kashyap of Haseen Dilruba. Be it Badla ki Naina, who is extremely nasty. I still find that whole stuff, being a woman who will stand and be selfish if she really has to make sure that she is successful in getting what she wants.
Manas Kumar, will you just tell us what your question for Vinyl is?
Hello everyone, all the best for the film. I loved it. And Vinyl sir, you are a super senior from the institute, so
can we just not stress on the super senior bit, huh?
sorry. How do you arrive on a common ground with the editor? Shweta ma'am has done the last film as well, but what are the liberties and the boundaries that you give to the editor, that iske andar ya iske bahar you can go? And how do you arrive? In pre-visualization you see something else, and then when Shweta ma'am goes on the film goes on the table, you're like, it's something different, it's totally different. So how do you guys arrive on a common ground? Because it is something that I'm facing it with my editors as well right now.
Shweta ma'am, as in Shweta Venkat Mathew, is Vinyl's wife. They're married to each other. And I'm sure the process is very different. Vinyl, how does it work?
And also, I'd like to tell you that Shweta ma'am's answer to this question would give a completely different spin and would be way more interesting. But chalo, Vinyl se pooch lete.
Manas, this is like a googly of a question. So I don't know if my answer would be true to a director-editor relationship otherwise, but we are married, and obviously it's tough to find common ground hence, because, it's a really tough one. And but I would like to work with Shweta because she's an absolutely fantastic editor. At the end of the day, it's also tough because I've known Shweta before she became an editor, and you've seen the process of her growth. We kind of grown together, and I know that she is somebody who has she comes with a lot of instinct when she edits her films, and that instinct is something just very special. A lot of editors just can do a great mechanical job or an obvious thing, but Shweta is somebody who can come with a really original thinking on something, and I really value that. But being married to her and editing it in the same house is also very stressful, and it's complicated because these are there are bigger issues involved. So what I do to kind of retain balance is that I never work with Shweta if I'm not shooting or doing a film. I reserve the most important project of mine to work with her, so that we give each other space. But when I did my FTI course in direction, we didn't have an editing batch, so we also ended up doing our own edit as well, and we learned editing as well. And I also did negative cutting and splicing and all those things, the old style before digital editing came in. So when I'm conceiving of my short breakdown, I also have a very strong editor's thing in my conception of a scene as well. I pretty much know that I need so many cuts, inserts and reaction shots and coverage and all those things. So I shoot with that. What I do is with Shweta is that I let her do her cut, where I don't interfere at all. She has a script and then she's left with the rushes, and I don't come in at all in her process. And typically I would sit with one of her assistants and do my cut parallelly, where she has no idea what I am doing, and then what we end up doing is at a certain stage, we kind of show each other the cuts, we debate it out, we decide which is better, what is working. And also I have a good circle of friends who are all editors as well. It's just not Shweta, but we have a community of friends who are also editors, and they also pull in at times. We thrash it out, we discuss, and then the person who convinces everybody else of what is the best way to go around with the scene kind of wins. And then we just kind of amalgamate everything and look at the best option. It's a very laborious process, a little tiresome process, but the edit is probably the most important thing and most underappreciated process of filmmaking. Actors look good because of good edits. The films look tighter, everybody looks good because of an edit. And even things like for instance in Haiseen Dilruba, if you've seen, when there's a conversation between Rani's character and Rishu's character, we always cut the headspace for Rishu. The in point of Rishu is very close, so we never give him breathing time. We cut him sharply, so you always feel that he's somebody who's not getting his voice out. And Taapsee gets a little bit more. So how much weight is to give close up to give the main actor, how much to cut. There's a lot of small things which go in an edit and people don't realize that. So that's something that I take very seriously. And because I've only worked with Shweta on feature films, we've kind of ironed out this process where we both edit separately and then we fight it out. We combine the best of both and then still keep fighting till the very end. And even when the film is done, we keep fighting because we both have very strong point of views on what we liked. So it's a very tough process, but fortunately I make a film in 7 years. So there are 7 years, a good time to kind of decompress and detox and go back again to the next one.
Shadi bachi hui hai. Shadi bachane. We'll take a question now from Sachin Kumar. It's a question for Kanika and Vinil.
Thank you, Mami and Haseen Dilruba team for giving the opportunity. I enjoyed the movie and all the performances. My question is to Kanika ji or Vinil ji. I'm just curious about the secondary characters, the two secondary characters in the film. What is the point of view of Rishu's parents after his death? We expect them to believe that Rani has something to do with their son's death, but they didn't seem to react in that way because what's happening in their mind during the investigation? Because I like the characters in the first half very much, so I'm just curious to know the closure of their characters.
Yeah, there are indications in the second half itself that the parents are very amiable. They are not suspecting Rani, and they do support Rani in her entire struggle, where she's saying that I'm not actually the killer. So that is very clearly shown. There is no ambiguity in where the parents stand. And of course, when we move on into the story, we realize that yes, Rishu is alive. And hence, we do take the leap of faith that eventually the parents will get to know that they did not lose their son after all. But in the second half, it is not left ambiguous that the parents, do they suspect Rani? No, they don't. They, in fact, are very sad for the loss of the son, and hence they are in a very, quiet and a very somber mode whenever they've been seen in the second half. But they are with the daughter-in-law. When she comes back home and she says, "Ki kal phir se mujhe thane bulaya," and this and that, they are suffering in their own grief, but they are not blaming the woman for the death of their son. That is what we've left at, but we've not gone overboard to kind of put them in terms of we are with you, or to state that we are with you, because when they're suffering such a huge loss themselves, I don't think they'll be in at least that is how we conceived it, that we don't think they'll be in a state of mind to go out there and make these statements that we know you have not killed our son, So they're just grappling with what has happened around them.
Sachin, pretty much what Kanika said, that's completely there in the film, and you see their stance, because that was something which is very important, and I'm sure as a viewer you want to know where do they stand, because you see them so prominently in the first half. And to be honest, we had shot additional portions with them. There were scenes where they were being interrogated by the cops also. There was a scene where, they were unwell, and Taapsee, Rani is actually offering them medicine and stuff and all. So many more scenes which kind of gave them some sort of presence in the second half. But, this was something which we took a call in the edit eventually, because, by that time the film gets into a thriller mode and you really want to pace things up fast. And one of the things one tries to do is that, can I take this information out and will the film still work? So yes, it being there helps to clear some things, but in the interest of pacing, in the interest of the thrust of the film at that point of time, we said even if we take it out, it's not really unsettling things, and then it just helps us to be more crisper and move to the plot faster, and which is the reason why that got trimmed, and it's just there to indicate where they stand in vis-a-vis Rani, but we didn't elaborate on it because it wasn't really adding on to that thriller. And at that point, you really want to move fast and get on with the plot. So, which is the reason why they kind of got a very, cut down presence in the second half.
Thank you. Can we move to Jignesh Biswal, who has a question for Vikrant?
Hi, this is Jignesh. Yeah. It's a pleasure to interact with you all. I think you guys have done a beautiful film.
Thank you, Jignesh. Thank you.
Congratulations. Vikrant, namaskar, Bablu bhaiya.
Namaskar.
You are an actor.
I love your background here. It's so cool. Are you in Scandinavia?
No. It's just a virtual background.
Sorry, I'm just kidding.
So Vikrant, you are an actor who has worked in all possible mediums available in entertainment. In one of your earlier interviews, you had said that you wanted to play an antagonist as close to Langda Tyagi in Omkara. So for this brief negative character which you essayed in Haseen Dilruba, like, did you take inspiration from that? I mean, like, there was this one scene where you attacked Neil in the park. That was like one of the edge of the movement scenes. What was the psyche behind that?
No, actually, yeah, like it's true that I'd love to play a part like Langda Tyagi, but for this particular part, I really had no reason to, to derive inspiration from Langda Tyagi, because they are like poles apart. And he's way different from Langda Tyagi. He's a very docile person, whereas Langda Tyagi is an aggressor. With regards to that sequence where when I go to Delhi and when I'm about to attack my cousin, it was very organic. I was walking that particular way during one of the rehearsals, and Vinil actually spotted it. I was just in between shots. I was just doing something. I was just holding the screwdriver and I was rehearsing probably in between shots. And Vinil told me, what you just did, I really like that. And I want you to do that. And it sticks, you keep experimenting with things. And he's on a very high frequency at that point, when he goes to his cousin. He's very angry. He's humiliated. He's hurt. He does not know where he belongs, और एक displacement वाली जो feeling होती है ना, वो बहुत खराब होती है. तो it was absolute aggression, hurt, and a lot of things were like sort of mixed up together when we shot that scene. And maybe it reflected, that was what eventually reflects on screen.
Nitesh Shahani, and he has a question for Vikrant and for Taapsee.
Thank you for the opportunity. Actually, the ultimate plot twist for this for me was seeing Minnie Ma'am, because I have been an admirer since the MTV days. It is so good to see you, Minnie Ma'am. Coming to the movie.
Thank you.
Coming to the movie, congratulations and thank you to the entire team for giving us such a good movie, such a beautiful film. I would like to call it a Paisa Vasool entertainer with a balance of quality cinema.
Thank you.
I mean, that's a rare combination. Question for Vikrant and Taapsee was pertaining to this particular sequence, which was in the climax, which was wherein the mystery behind Rishu's murder was actually revealed. We see Rishu as a character from the beginning portrayed as someone who's a simpleton, who kind of gets aggressive at a later stage. And at this point, he does something so unexpected, something so unconditional for Rani, that is who was a flawed character somewhere. So I would like to understand what you all went through conceiving, interpreting, and putting to life that particular sequence.
Conceiving part of the sequence should be like answered by Kanika, I guess. For me, the basic thumb rule with Rani was that yes, she is very flawed, and so is Rishu, and that's why they don't have the most conventional way of expressing love to each other or love for each other. They can go to pretty bizarre limits to show their love because of the kind of flaws that they have. So they definitely are not predictable kind of characters. It will be something beyond anyone's imagination. Like, for example, you will not imagine when Rani strays, you will not imagine that she will come back herself to Rishu and tell that this is what happened and this was my plan of like going away, but now he has left me and I'm stuck with you. It's not a very normal, real way of how you see women react or anyone reacts when they stray. And Rishu, being Rishu of the first half, reacting the way he does, saying and meaning the fact that main tujhe maar dunga. Okay, so these two, by that time are not really normal, regular character of yours, and they will go to some crazy extents. The fact that they are going through what they're going through together in the second half. So that kind of like made me clear that there are no limits for Rani and Rishu to do whatever they will do in the climax for each other. But for me, in the climax, Rishu's character for me was like I reacted. For me, I conceived it that this is something that I never expected or never even wanted him to do. Like, that's the line which Rani didn't want Rishu to cross. And that's how I reacted, at least throughout that sequence, that I wouldn't want him to do it. And it's him who wants me to let him do it. So yeah, so that's how I was treating as Rani's character, whatever was happening on screen.
Yeah, I will just add a couple of things, the particular sequence you're talking about. So I'm assuming that obviously you know what leads them to that. These are basically what Taapsee said is very right. They are real people and they are flawed people. all all of us are. Nobody's unidimensional. But by the end of it, we need to understand that these are really simple, ordinary people thrown in extraordinary circumstances. The very first thing, if I may say so, when they realize they've done something so massive, she says that let's call the cops, and he says no, don't do that. I don't want to lose you. So these are sane heads, over firm shoulders, but somewhere down the line they are human. Like the survival instinct that lies deep within us, it comes to the fore. And it is those split-second decisions at that point in time when you realize, okay, there is something unwanted here, and it's daytime. There are so many things that come to your head. You really just react instinctively to whatever is coming within. They're like split-second decisions. So not a lot of it is thought out. These flawed human real characters are like anyone else trying to survive, to find their own space, and that's what leads them to certain things that they do. And I think these were the things that were my driving force when I was shooting. Obviously, the unconditional love for Rani, but the very fact that life has come a full circle after a lot of shit, and he would not let go of it in any case. He would fight till his last breath, and that's the amount of love he has, and that's the capacity he possesses within. And that's the wonderful arc we see, the guy who seems docile, who's actually not able to utter a word the first time he meets this woman. And he goes out to her and he says, okay, this is what we will do. And she says, no, this is not what we will do. And he says, no, you have to listen to me now. You will do what I asked you to do, and I need you to support me. And it's this camaraderie between these two people, the thickness of their love is so beautiful that they are willing to go to any extent to save each other, to protect each other. Yeah, that's how I would want to sort of put this out.
Thank you. Guys, we don't have much time, but I'm going to take one last question before I let everyone go. Pramit Chatterjee.
First of all, I want to congratulate on the film, and it's a great film, and has kept me thinking about the moral ambiguity of it all. And
Thank you,
my question is actually to Kanika. Is the ending that we see the true ending of the film, or just the version that the police inspector imagines in order to make peace with the fact that he couldn't actually solve the case?
There were multiple drafts before this ending was finalized, but this particular thing of, is this actually happening, or is it the inspector kind of imagining it, was never put down in a draft by me, but I did think about it, so I'm glad that you asked it, because it was very tempting. I did think about it that, what if this guy has just imagined it and we leave it open-ended, that did it happen, did it not happen, keep it open-ended. When I battled it out in my head, I think it was more fulfilling that, Rishu comes back. Rishu has to come back, because otherwise for me to sit through this entire story and see this entire journey of their love story, which starts from point A and travels like extensive emotions, and there had to be a very solid culmination, which should not be left to the understanding or the version of the audience, or they should not be left to kind of make up their own ending, because there had to be a very solid closure to the story. So I went with Rishu actually coming back, but I did toy with it, because I get what you're saying. It was very, very exciting to just let it be as a figment of the inspector's imagination, but Rishu had to win.
Guys, thank you so much. Seriously, first of all, the team of Haseen Dilruba, guys, thank you so much for giving us this much time. And of course, the 23 people who wrote, their first, I don't know whether it's their first screenplay, but at least gave us a lot of excitement, made this fun for us. We read your entries. They were great. Thank you for doing that. And Minnie, for being...
I loved every minute of it. Nobody needs to thank me. I'm so happy to be a part of this, and I think this film will be loved and appreciated for each one of you here. It's just perfect, and I wish the entire team all the very best.
Thank you. It was such a lovely evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
To watch the conversations on Dial M for Films, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jio Mami Mumbai Film Festival.